Hey, I'm Bruce, and this episode is all about the HIFIMAN EF600. It is an R2R Dac and headphone amplifier in one unit. Now, as a disclaimer, this was sent to me for review by HIFIMAN. However, all opinions of my own. No one's reviewed the video prior to posting, so you have that. This is for the serious head-fi person. Okay, this is an extremely powerful headphone amplifier, and it's got a top-notch R2R Dac, which is called the Himalaya Pro Dac that's in here. It's a very unique design that this thing has. So I just wanted to talk to you about my experience with it and just share my thoughts. It sells for $7.99. If you want more information, that's in the link down in the description of the video. I think one of the things that stands out immediately about this is its industrial design. It's a space-saving DAC amp device. It is tall, and I don't know the weight, but it's pretty chunky. It is kind of on the heavy side. It's solid. It's not going to slide around on your desktop or anything like that. Now, in the box, you don't really get much. You get the DAC itself, the headphone amp. You get an IEC power cord, and you get this Bluetooth antenna here, and that's it. The user guide is downloadable from HIFIMAN. Pretty basic. That's one thing about HIFIMAN. They'd rather put their money into the gear than fancy, boxes and glossy manuals and that kind of thing. What you see is what you get. Now let's talk about the specs of the EF600. Now this is, again, the R2R Dac resistor ladder. If you're chasing numbers purely, then you might want to look at a DAC that's called Delta Sigma. But if you're looking for something that produces a nice warm sound, but yet is very, very resolving, then this is definitely worth a look. Spec-wise, besides the R2R Dac, which is capable of 20 or 24-bit, 768 kilohertz PCM, apparently doesn't handle DSD or MQA, so no MQA decoding. It's got a Qualcomm QC-5124 Bluetooth chip in here. Here's the bottom line. It supports AAC, SBC, aptX, HD, and LDAC. So just about all your higher quality Bluetooth codecs are available on this DAC. Total harmonic distortion is 0.0014%. So again, if you're chasing those numbers and you want the 0.00000, okay, that's going to be more of a Delta Sigma type of DAC, but believe me, it's worth it. I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm going to go over that here in just a few minutes. 5.1 watts power into 32 ohms. This thing can drive probably any set of headphones you want to throw at it, right? And we're going to go over some more of the features, and you'll see what I'm talking about in just a few minutes. But it also has this handy headphone hanger on there, so you can take your headphones and I've got the cord hooked up to it, but here, pull off the cord. There we go. Boom. Hang your headphones right on there. It's pretty handy. Kind of a cool idea. It's different. Okay, I'll admit this is different, but I got used to the style and the industrial design of this thing pretty quickly. So size-wise, I wrote these specs down, and I can't commit everything to memory. It's 11 inches tall, or 283 millimeters, 4 inches wide, or 104 millimeters, and then it measures in depth about 6.5 inches across, or 165 millimeters. So you have that. Now, just some of my initial impressions. First off, it is heavy. It is substantial, and I think that's a good thing. But it did not come with any kind of remote, and I'm thinking for $800, it should come with some type of remote. So it doesn't have that. No indication of the bit rate or the frequency on there. The design, the cooling actually the heat rises from the bottom. You've got these vents right on top of here. These are cooling vents. And as you use it hour after hour, you do feel a little bit of warmth coming out there, but it's nothing. I mean, you're not going to burn your hand or anything like that. The Bluetooth on this worked right away. Connected right to my iPhone. It connected right to my Samsung Galaxy phone. So, yeah, that was really no issue whatsoever. So let's take a look at the front on here. So you have these two buttons right here, one on the left and one on the right. And the one on the left controls your different settings on here. So you have high gain, no oversample, high gain, oversample, low gain, oversample, and low gain, not oversample. And I found for me, the best setting was high gain with oversampling. It just sounded a little bit more resolving to me than the non-oversampling. Other than that, that's the extent of your different controls. And on the right, your various inputs. So on the very top, you have either USB or coax. Then you have Bluetooth, and then you have RCA input, that's kind of a cool feature, I think. And then you have your balanced input. So this can function as a balanced headphone amplifier full DAC. So you have that built in. A big, chunky volume control, which is really, really nicely made. It's very smooth. Then you have a 4-pin XLR balanced connection for your headphones, and then a 6.35 millimeter single-ended connection for your headphones. What's on the back? Turning this around. So starting at the top, I have the Bluetooth antenna connected. You have coaxial input. You have USB Type-B input. You have a USB-C input. What is missing, and this is kind of surprising me, you do not have an optical input on there. I think they should have added that. You have two balanced input connections, and then you have the RCA inputs on here. You have RCA output, balanced left, balanced right output, IEC power connection, and an off and on switch. And that is what's on the back, and that is what you get with this EF600. So I've set myself up kind of this little lab on here that consists of the EF600, and then for sources, I have a Weem Pro streamer on there. And I actually bought that to go with this. It does have coaxial output, and I'm a big believer in the Weem Mini. I'm for them, and but I wanted to use my Weem streamer with this, so I went with the Pro. And then also several different headphones that I use with that. I also use a Windows 11 laptop using an app called Music Bee, which check that out. It's absolutely free for music playback and that kind of thing. Works great with my Plex music server. So you've got that. So those are kind of the sources. And then for headphones, the Sundaras, but also the Edition XS, which, by the way, I think is one of the best values for planar magnetic headphones on the market today. Comfortable, sounds fantastic, reasonably priced. Absolutely one of my go-to headphones. I'm doing any type of reviews. Okay. So let's talk just a little bit about the music I listen to. I have, over 1,000 albums on my NAS. But my go-to, and a couple of them one of them is Diana Krall's Live in Paris. So I got to tell you, I just thought that. Now, here's the thing about R2R, and you're going to hear this from different reviewers and that kind of thing, that R2R or resistor ladder DACs have a darker sound, or they might say it's warmer, maybe less analytical, doesn't have the digital sheen that Delta Sigma DACs have. I don't know. I think it sounded absolutely superb. Maybe there was a little bit of warmth there, but it was never tiring, and it just had this nice buttery sound to it. For example, I thought that the bass had some real weight behind it with this, as opposed to other DACs I've listened to. This one really, really, truly has some nice meaty bass to it. Vocals were warm. a lot of presence. Of course, that album just is total kick butt album, by the way. Check out Diana Krall's Live in Paris. The presence on there is just mind-blowing. It's like, wow, this thing sounds like it truly is live out that I am there. And the treble was super smooth. Another album that I think is an excellent reference to listen to is Dire Straits' Sultans of Swing, and the self-titled song, Sultans of Swing. The imaging, I think if you want to really, really experience and know how your system or your rig handles imaging, put that tune on and give it a listen, because you could easily place instruments with this. With some other DACs that I've used, it sort of sounded a bit confusing, but with the HE600s, I mean, for example, the vocals are right in the center of my head. Rather than getting that, okay, this is coming from the left ear cup, this is coming from the right, it all just came together beautifully with this DAC. So what are my final thoughts on the EF600? Very powerful. This will probably drive any set of headphones you want to throw at it. And it is equipped to handle 6.35 millimeter. Of course, you can get an adapter to 3.5 if that's what you want to use. And you have a balanced connection. So you got everything there. You've got Bluetooth, USB, coax inputs. You got digital, or you've got RCA outputs. You got balanced outputs. So you could definitely use this with a standard hi-fi rig in addition to desk-fi, which this is what my channel is really becoming more and more about, desk-fi or head-fi, if you want to call it that. Beautifully constructed. This thing was built like a tank, and it weighs like a tank. But it is space-saving. It doesn't take up a lot of room on the desk because it's very tall. Then, of course, pop on your headphones, boom. There you go. It's space-saving. Can't complain about that. I think this can grow with you, too. I mean, you can start off with less expensive headphones. I've got a set in for review that's just mind-blowing. So that's going to be my next review. But I didn't talk about it in this. I wanted this to stand on its own. I think it's an excellent value for $7.99, because there is a lot more expensive out there, separate DACs and headphone amplifiers. But this would probably last you for many, many years, and it performs quite well. That's it. Bruce Naylor, your Boomer Consumer. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.